In 2016, I did an inner child meditation from a recorded, I believe it was a YouTube video, but I don't remember the guy. It was pretty short, 12, 14, 15 minutes, something like that. And it was pretty good. He didn't lead you or anything. It was just like once you were in a relaxed state, he just asked, do you see your younger self? And I did. And he asked, well, where are you looking? And I was looking down. What are you doing? I was digging. It was in my sandbox. Now here's the thing. This was I went to a place in this meditation that came from an actual memory. And the memory was that I had actually had this big pile of sand in the backyard in this sandbox that I had seen now in my meditation. I was digging underneath this great big pile of sand. Well, I had done that. But the neighbor and myself, and I'm sure likely my brother, we were all piling up all the sand in the sandbox, the world's biggest pile of sand, the biggest pile of sand the earth had ever seen in one place, in anybody's backyard ever. Expecting for sure, that the local news media would drive by and couldn't help but notice this colossal pile and stop and want to do a feature story, and we'd end up in Guinness or something. But, the neighbor had to go home for supper or probably take a bath or whatever, go home, go to bed. It was summertime, I had my shirt off and I knew that any time my mom was going to call me in, because my brother was already in, likely in the bathtub, and I was going to have to take a bath next. And so it came at this meditative point that I came to actually came from an actual memory that I remember very well for other reasons that I won't get into right at the moment. But so I walked up to myself and I squatted down next to myself and I was watching myself in detail, noting that I had very blonde hair compared to my brown skin, which is not like me because I'm very light complected. I burned very easily, but I had obviously been out a lot, which was true when I was young, and I didn't have a shirt on. I didn't have anything but these white shorts, barefooted. And as I'm digging under this pile of dirt, I'm noting in the meditation how detailed this is, but as I'm digging under this pile of dirt, I'm noting my ribs, and I'm noting, just that I was a skinny kid, and that I was noticing the way that I really used to be from a whole different point of view. And so I started to talk to myself. I asked if I could talk to myself, and I sort of sheepishly said, yeah. And basically what I told myself was to not worry about feeling things deeply, to go ahead and feel as much and as deeply as you can, as much as possible. All the time. Don't let anybody tell you that that's wrong or try to make you feel bad that you feel things so sensitively. Don't try to, don't accept that your feelings aren't very valid, and don't ever let anybody tell you that your feelings aren't important. And in the nicest, most polite way I could, and my younger self, okay, So I went back out of this meditation. I was all done. And I went back out I said what I needed to say. And I went back out of the meditation. And immediately, when I kind of got my footing and I walked across the room and I got a glass of water, immediately I felt different. I felt like it changed a lot of things. It considerably changed the way that I looked at. It changed everything in my life at that point, really. Everything sort of went and changed a bit, which I think is very interesting. But at that point, I had a lot less tolerance for things I saw or felt that were untrue or deceptive or charlatan-like. And I could go on about that, but I'm not going to right now. But I do remember that I felt very strongly that there was no way I was going to let anyone walk on my feelings or tell me that for whatever reason I should feel a certain way for having certain feelings. I wasn't going to allow that anymore at all, and very, very adamantly would defend that, aggressively defend that. It wasn't there before. But here's the interesting part. Where are we at for time? Not bad, 6 minutes. Wow. Here's the interesting part. I came back from this with a whole different attitude, but that's only part of it. The part of it that was the actual memory, because it actually happened, was the part of me when I was a young child digging this big pile of sand. But I didn't tell you the rest of it. At some point after that, and this is what I always imagined happened, and I didn't, until the meditation, I would have never known. But I always imagined what happened was at some point, I must have dreamed about this pile of sand. You know, it was a pretty big pile of sand. It was probably pretty impressive. It could have etched itself into my dream world, I'm sure. You know, in some way or another. I was pretty creative in making things happen in my dream world. So I never suspected that it was anything more than this. But I assumed, up until the meditation, that is, I assumed that I had dreamed about this pile of sand and incorporated into that dream this other memory. And I wondered, you know, like we so often do, is that a dream? Or was it real? And we're not really sure. Well, it was one of those things, and I wasn't really sure. Did that really happen, that part of it? Because I know the rest of it did, but did the other part happen that I remember and I never knew? So I attributed it to, I had dreamed it. But here's what that other part was. Was there actually a person kneeling next to my sandbox with a glowing coat, squatting there? He didn't seem like a threat. I'm sure my mom would have seen him and come out immediately to ask me what he was doing, or ask him what he was doing. You know what I mean? What are you doing? He's sitting in the very same place that I did when I went into the meditation. Now, I know that most people are just, you know, anybody that's skeptical, because I can understand that, because I'm pretty skeptical myself, believe it or not. It's going to look at this and just go, yeah, you know, it's all in your head. But be that as it may, things changed from that meditation. They changed for me for real. I changed everything in a very real way. So here's my question. Did I time travel? Did I? And if I time travel, do we all time travel and not know sometimes that we've done it? Because until you go back and look, maybe you'd never know. I went back in the meditation to jog my memory of the dream, or the memory that I had assigned as a dream, because I couldn't assign it as anything else. Nothing else made any sense, because of course it wouldn't be What would I think it would be? Come on. But I think it was me. To be honest, I really believe it feels like it was me. And I'm not sure the glowing part, what that means, but maybe that had something to do with why my mother wouldn't have seen me, even though it seems like she would have, but I don't know. But it's just something to consider. And are the indicators of time travel? I mean, if you want to assume that that is time travel, are the indicators those times when we wonder, was that real or was it a dream? That moment that we're wondering, is that where we're going to connect when we do an inner child meditation? Am I going to go back to that moment or another moment where that might have happened? If I tried it again, I don't know. But so, in a very real way, yes, I do feel as though this is time travel. I mean, there's no, apparently we don't know how to time travel. We always assume there's machinery involved. But I feel like I have experienced it. And I feel like I have actually done something like, Marty and Doc did when they traveled back to 1955 and then came back to 1985, and they had altered things for themselves. Not that anybody else would notice, but they noticed. Yeah. Opened up my awareness to other things too, like the Mandela effect. But anyway, this is what you get when you ask in prayer for your eyes to be opened and you ask to see things that you can't see. You start seeing them. Just saying. Pretty cool.